just
Take 8.
okay.
Take 8, we're just speaking about reclaimers and
Yeah, just an open discussion.
this is backup
So
stuff.
we can get like sound bites.
Okay, 5, 4, 3.
So what did you learn in like this project? What stood out to you?
Something that was really interesting was these guys like work. What's the word?
Wait, let me start again. Luke, what did you learn in this project?
I learned that these guys work really hard for something that we don't value, and we take life for granted, and we really don't respect material. And I think if we could respect material and respect our world around us, I think it would make it a much better place. And I mean, something so simple as just learn to recycle. It's not that hard, and just doing that could really help these guys.
Yeah.
What did you learn, Ben?
I actually started to kind of get a hate for Pick It Up, and what they did was, the first design was just a very silly design that they promoted, and they denounced these reclaimers basically in their words, and in their policies they've not been welcoming, and I don't know if it has a connection to the fact that Pick It Up itself and all our governments seem to be more political focused than I don't know, goods focused, right? And a lot of these guys are illegal immigrants, and so illegal immigrants have a negative connotation that you hear illegally. But a person who's here illegally still deserves to be protected and looked after, and Pick It Up could definitely do a lot more.
And I mean, yeah, like to work on that, these people, at least they're not criminals. Like a lot of people would say, I'll go to crime because I can't get a job, but these guys like work their butts off to go the extra mile, to walk 15 kilometers a day.
I've also heard of instances where these guys stop criminals, like they'll see criminal activity and report it or protect them.
It's really cool. What have you learned, Ryan?
So just looking at the way they work, they kind of like, they are, as you say, they are the backbone of our community and everything, cleaning up, and I think if they weren't there, without them, the place would look very different, very out of place. And the thing is, there's no support from government, and it's a pity because they work so hard and they're self-employed. I feel like they should be getting something back from government, like especially with like clothing support or whatever, or some kind of infrastructure that can help them, as well as like providing some kind of better system in terms of the way in which Pick It Up is excluding them, because there's so much of a like a big hole in our like system where these people are just like trying to just get a normal means of of income, and I also feel like just like learning from the way in which they're sourced locally, they recycle, and bringing their own materials that they find into their like normal lives, and in terms of their housing, their
I wouldn't
reuse.
be surprised if they find something useful and they'll then utilize it in their own lives.
I'm sure, and I feel like they build upon what they find as well, which that we can like take like their skill from that and use it going forward, especially in architecture.
I have two questions. I was wondering, firstly, like, if we changed absolutely nothing, but we only increased like the effectivity of stuff, because as it stands, Pick It Up has like 600 plus fleets, those trucks. Why can't they be used on Saturdays? As I understand, Pick It Up doesn't work on Saturdays. They don't collect on Saturdays. Why can't they be used then to go to where these informal reclaimers live and help them transport the materials? And secondly, and a more personal one, I'm wondering, how personally connected do reclaimers feel to a person when they go through their trash? You throw your credit card information out, you throw all your personal items out, and they observe that and they see that.
There's
and
a story in your...
If you're sick, they'll see your tissues.
Yeah.
Like, they understand you, but you don't communicate with them. Lots of them can't speak English. I just wonder how they feel about that.
Yeah, there's like a very definite story, you're right. I've always wondered, like during Christmas time, everyone's throwing away like gift wrapping. Like it must be really hard for them because maybe they feel like sad that they can't maybe buy their kids presents, or I'm just assuming now, but yeah, like it must be really hard to then go through people's rubbish, and there's like gift wrappers and all the stuff that they might not be able to have because they're just more unfortunate than the next guy.
And something that's I noticed is sending their money home, 50% of their money home. This whole idea of sending your money home is an apartheid constructed idea.
Yeah.
Because, okay, here you live in the homelands, and then we pay you to go work in mines. Like,
Yeah.
separating families is something that apartheid was really good at.
Yeah.
And it just continues to be a thing because your dad lived away, your dad
Yeah.
worked somewhere, you live at home.
You
Then
normalize
you grow up,
it, yeah.
you go work somewhere, you
Yeah.
support your family there. Like, it's hard because you can't have your in Africa, in South Africa, having your family with you all the time is a luxury.
That's really true. I think
It's also like a governmental problem because, you know, they're not really accepted, and that's why they have to work so hard in this way of work, that they work so physically hard, and they will have to support their family in this way.
Yeah, like what about the physical taxation? What if you get sick?
yeah.
You get sick, no income. It's not like
And it's so easy to get sick in their position. They're
Yeah,
going through
yeah.
trash. Like, it's very high risk.
and injury.
Yeah.
Traveling so long a day, going down roads fast, and they slide down roads not because it's fun, but because it saves them valuable time.
Yeah.
Time was actually like something we had a discussion about. What about if everybody separated their dry goods from their organic goods?
Yeah.
How much easier would their lives be? Like, we have no idea of knowing, but maybe they could work work less harder. You know, be less exhausted at the end.
They
of
could
the day.
also probably get more product because then by the time pick it up comes, they would have
would
been
be
able
much
to get
more
all of the
efficient.
valuable stuff.
Yeah, and then the only other glass ceiling I can see, besides all the bureaucracy that we've identified, is weight. Should we be encouraging these guys to push more weight? Should it be about more efficiency? How can we give these guys more income in the system that they're using?
Well, I mean, society is trying to teach us to use less plastic. So maybe that's a telltale sign. So start using more paper. Paper's lighter than plastic. So if they only have to collect paper, they'll get paid and they can carry a lot more paper than plastic.
I'm not sure about that. Yeah, is paper lighter than plastic?
Maybe not.
Because I mean, it actually doesn't matter because it's about per kilogram.
Yeah, but the thing is you can fit more paper than plastic.
That's true.
Because plastic takes up more space than paper.
Mm.
So maybe if we started using less paper, which is really good for the environment, and we only if we use less plastic, which is good for the environment, and we started using more paper, like paper bags, and they only had to collect paper, it would help them a lot because then they could carry a lot more, get more money back. But talking about money, imagine it wasn't 3 Rand per kilogram, but it was 10 Rand per kilogram. Like, maybe that would inspire them to like do this job for a bit and then move up in society. These prices aren't ever going to help them move up and move out
Or
of
educate themselves.
or they can't educate their kids on 2 Rand per kilogram. So people get stuck in a system, and I think it's something that's just haunted South Africa for the longest time, is just being stuck in a cycle of poverty, and it's really hard to get out of that cycle when there's no intervention or money or help from the government.
So what I understand of economics, based on talking to a friend of mine, is that most development history has occurred because of states. States will protect an industry, invest in an industry, and develop that. That's why we have Samsung. Samsung was begun as a small company. Korea decided, okay, I'm going to protect you against, and I'm going to fund you so that you can compete with other people.
Yeah.
It just seems like a problem that state has no interest in these guys right now. Is it because our state is overstretched? Like, what is the focus of our state if not these people? why not these people? Why invest more into Pick It Up and ask people to pay a 50 Rand levy instead of asking people to pay 50 Rand each to these guys and create an organization that pays them?
No, that's a really good point. And like even tax, if I think in South Africa it's like 1% or something ridiculous pay tax. I mean, if that money went to helping these guys rather than going into someone's back pocket, like it's in a difficult system, and that's why we can't rely on government intervention. So I think our point of architecture starting to embrace recycled materials and like something simple like facades. You obviously can't use a plastic bottle for the structure, but I think in a facade like this project DWG, I think that's a really useful example for us.
Do you think that there's a future for plastics, a future for a plastic that maybe is more beneficial to being used as something and then transferred into something like a construction material?
I think so, because plastics, one of the problems with plastics is that it doesn't decay.
Yeah.
It sort of lasts forever.
It does degrade.
It degrades, but it doesn't decay. So we need to find a place to use it in, so obviously not structural, but maybe in a facade detail or something like that.
Especially also in like pavilions, like light structures. It can be used instead of like bricks or steel, which is much more expensive.
Maybe even like larger issues like transforming architectural language. The one thing that bothers me most about Joburg is the walls. Everywhere there's walls and electric fences. If we could have walls made out of PET that made lots of noise if you try to climb on them, like that would be much more friendly, and you could probably have something quite pretty. It's just something that warrants investigation. I think.
Cool. I don't have anything more to say.
Maybe I'll just talk about some stuff that I learned from this experience talking to Pakiso. Just interested to see. He was the leader. He was the leader of one of 4 in the area, and he was very well educated. He clearly spoke English very well. He had a phone, and when we texted him on the phone, he spoke well on the phone. And I think that placed him in a position of power, his education. I also had an awkward interaction with another informal reclaimer who didn't speak any English, and it's actually quite painful to try and speak to someone and talk to someone on like a meaningful level, but there's no ways of communication. And it made me also feel
disconnected,
and I'm a white man living in South Africa, and I can't speak an African language, and that feels wrong on me.
Makes you feel guilty almost.
But personally, I've enjoyed looking into these reclaimers. I think I would love to look more into them and continue investigating them, continue a personal search and educating other people about it, and just getting people who are interested to become involved.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a good day.
Yabba-dabba-doo.
Yabba-dabba-doo.
Thanks for listening. We'll just call this the bonus episode.
What's it? Take backs or something like that.
Take backs,
No, it's not. Who knows?
Kind of other things that we couldn't add.
Okay,
wait. Let's just close off with wild solutions, so that we can give ourselves some brain food. If you guys want some time, just think of something you think could possibly be a resolution for these guys. I was thinking, my idea was actually media. I'm interested in how media can play a part in these guys, like just telling people don't put your organics with your dry goods, please. Like it really would help these guys, and somehow communicate how much it would mean to them and how much it would be easier for them.
Ask Kim Kardashian to do a recycling thing, like please recycle, guys. Like I'm sure that would get a lot of people thinking.
I also feel like just having like some kind of like news broadcast, even on like carte blanche, talking about the reclaimers, because a lot of people like mistake them for like just normal like people on the side of the road, and they
like
just get treated so badly.
Public interviews with these guys on carte blanche to broadcast that these guys aren't criminals. They're really kind-hearted. They're helping society so much, and I think people need to learn that.
Number one problem is evidence. Like they don't have a formal name.
Yeah.
I came across reclaimers only in this research for this project. I used to know them as trolley pushers.
Mm.
I think trolley pushers is kind of derogatory. Like
Mm.
it reduces them to something. They're not just trolley pushers.
Yeah.
They're amazing for environments and everything. Reclaimers I like because they reclaim things that haven't been used, but that can be used, and they take value from it.
A nice one is also trolleypreneurs.
Mm.
It's like an entrepreneur, but they taking like they're seeing value in something that other people don't, and they're making money out of that.
I just hope we can start to have a system where they can step up. You know, we talked about how people when they start, it's just they just have the bag and they're just walking around, and then they afford the cart. I wish there was a step 2. I wish there was something that they could get up next step, next level, continue developing, continue like maybe push an industry, create private companies, something that these guys could do.
I think with the 50 Rand levy of Pick It Up, in my area, we do have that, and it's actually encouraged us to recycle. I didn't realize that it was hurting these guys, but
And they provide you with the bags.
yeah,
don't
they provide you with the bag. So if Pick It Up made it 10 Rand, I mean, how expensive is a bag? Who knows? But then if they made it 10 Rand for every single person, then people would start recycling. So yes, it would be more difficult for these guys, but at least then stuff would be ordered out, and it would make it a lot easier for them to collect.
Okay, yeah.
I also feel like, you know, they really need to be more embedded into, you know, the system.
Yeah.
And I feel like one thing I was thinking about is just implementing some kind of infrastructure would allow them to operate better. And one thing I was thinking about is that they should include or like design these kind of like tracks on the road, like next to the road, so that, you know, maybe these trolleys can attach itself to it.
Oh, that'd be great.
And I feel like that would work quite
like
well.
tram lines.
Yeah, like a tram line.
That's
And
so
where,
cool.
Yeah.
where they could push them and look like the wheels would like.
And then
you know,
even
And
if they were
you
going
wouldn't
down
have
a
to
hill
do
with
yeah,
heavy
you
weight.
wouldn't
Mental
have to do
help.
it on
And it
every
could be
single
like-
road. You could just do it on like big hills
yeah,
where
and
they
then
need
there
help
also could
pulling.
be like horizontal like grooves so that you could like stop it. It could be like the brake system.
That's
I
really
feel like
cool.
something like that would work well.
I also think if say we had to do something like that, it would be focus areas, because on William Nicol there's this one area where they're like you're turning this blind corner, and if there's a car in front of you, he'll suddenly swerve to avoid this
Yeah.
guy. You're like you might suddenly hit him.
Yeah.
They can't go on the side because it's too rough, it's too bumpy.
Yeah.
I mean, also for that idea, if there were more recycling plants,
Yeah.
and they made
yeah.
and they then had, let's say they were all in one long line,
Yeah.
and areas came in, so you had to go in onto the one line, so you only had to do this tram line system on one main road.
Yeah.
Then where there's hills, you put the tram lines in. It'll make it a lot easier, because then they have more places to go, or they wouldn't have to travel so far if there's more locations close to
Yeah,
them.
I don't understand why there can't be drop-off centers. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I think it's a very big health. It's a big environmental impact. It has a very big environmental
Well,
impact, like landfills.
Like a landfill.
It does
that's
hurt the
understandable.
environment quite a lot. So that's why it is in the
Yeah.
outskirts of the city. But maybe trying to figure out how to make a healthy landfill. See how you could make something that auto disposes, but the future. Right now we're living in the 21st century where people are trying to go to Mars. I think there's definitely room for improvement, and there's definitely a lot of new technology. I think these guys will have a future, and I think, yeah, society can definitely place them and help them thrive.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to the bonus episode.
Outtakes, that's what it's called.
Thanks for listening to outtakes. We are going to take out this outtake and call it a day. Thanks for listening to We Love Reclaimers. Thanks for listening to us talk about how we love reclaimers, because we do love reclaimers.
Yes.
And we look forward to
Getting a very good mark.